Okay, I do want to share with you some very exciting developments this past year, but let me start with a look back in time. 3 years ago, the NAMSS board established an aggressive strategic plan that focused on the development of new goals to benefit NAMSS and its members. In 2009, Cheryl Davis and the board focused on the development of educational programs that were segmented into the new to the field, newly certified, and those in the experience or the executive track. You can see that we continue to format our annual conference program in that manner to give you the best and most relevant education experience. It's tailored to your individual needs. Also in 2009, we also completed a staffing ratio survey and revamped the NAMSS website. Last year, Karen Reed and the board worked diligently to develop several education programs and webinars, moving us into the virtual education world to stay true to our mission of providing current and relevant education throughout the year, especially for those who are unable to attend this great conference. Karen left us with her favorite African proverb when she stood at this podium 1 year ago. And she said, "If you want to go quick, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together." I've reflected on that proverb this year because I think it describes our current mindset very well. This year we have sharpened our focus on strategic partnering and advocacy of our role in patient safety and fostering the critical relationship with our physicians and those on the administrative side of medicine. Make no mistake, these are unprecedented times for healthcare. There are many changes on the horizon, and we must be nimble enough as an association not only to respond to change, but to be prepared to proactively share our experience, knowledge, and our unique perspective. As most of you know, I have spent a great deal of time meeting with industry partners and associations that are on the leading edge for accountable healthcare and patient safety. My interaction and messaging of these constituents has fit into one of three spheres. How can NAMSS influence? How can NAMSS educate? And how can NAMSS impact? I have been most impressed with the shared vision we have with these organizations and the impressive individuals who spend their time advocating for safe health care in our country. Through these collaborative relationships, we have increased the volume of our voice and the message we have to share. I am so pleased to have a few of these individuals in the audience with us this morning, so let me introduce you to a few. Last fall, Connie Riedel and I visited with the AMA OMSS to exchange thoughts and perspectives about healthcare provider credentialing and the challenges on both sides of the issue in providing accurate data and verifying the most relevant aspects. We discussed the conceptual ideal credentialing solution. We had great dialogue with Dr. James Gregory, president of the AMA OMSS, and their governing council. We received great support from the AMA OMSS and the contributions we would like to make into the credentialing process as statewide and federal initiatives call for a reduction in redundancy and streamlining of the onboarding process for physicians. Since then, we have had a follow-up meeting with the AMA headquarters and the folks who coordinate the AMA Master Profile. We continue to value our relationship with the AMA OMSS and will partner with them whenever we can align our initiatives to directly benefit physicians as well as our industry. I would like to now introduce Dr. Arthur Snow, who is here representing the AMA OMSS. Dr. Snow, would you please stand and be recognized? Thank you for being here. This past summer, I had the pleasure to spend some time with Dr. Kevin Wise, President and CEO of the ABMS. Many of you are familiar with Dr. Wise and the great support and education the ABMS has provided NAMSS members regarding specialty board certification. Dr. Wise and I happened to be speaking about the ABMS Maintenance of Certification program, and that conversation grew into a discussion about the intent of the OPPE standards and how the shift to ongoing professional competency aligns with many changes in the industry, such as maintenance of certification, as well as the maintenance of professional licensure. It was also great to gain the perspective of Dr. Wise as a physician as to what elements of a physician's performance should be measured to demonstrate sustained competence. Many of us continue to struggle with the selection of the right data elements as well as reliable and valid data resources. Our conversation ended with an idea to engage the Joint Commission in a discussion that could potentially expand the definition of OPPE and provide some standardization for the data collection that could be meaningful for certifying boards as well as hospitals. I am pleased to have Dr. Wise in our audience this morning, and he will be speaking at a session later this morning. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Kevin Wise. Dr. Kevin, would you please stand? Thank you. Earlier this year, NAMSS received an invitation by NACU, the National Association for Healthcare Quality, to serve on a thought leaders panel to address an identified problem in healthcare quality and patient safety related specifically to behaviors which undermine the ability of individuals who play a role in quality evaluation to carry out their roles effectively. Recent reports of intimidation and retaliation against staff who report problems of patient safety and quality has hit a collective nerve among dedicated healthcare professionals, sparking alarm and a demand for action. Punitive measures against those who work to improve healthcare have a profound effect on quality and safety. Stronger measures are needed to protect patients and those who work diligently to protect them. To that end, a group of constituent organizations of NACU met over the course of several months to develop a comprehensive white paper that outlines the problems and calls for quick and strong action by leaders across the continuum of healthcare organizations and regulatory and accrediting and governing bodies to insist upon a zero-tolerance culture of intimidation and retaliation. This white paper is in its final stages and will be published over the next few months. NAMSS salutes NACU for bringing this issue to the forefront and for taking a strong stance in advocating for patients who all deserve a safe environment for healing. We are proud to have been part of this initiative that has been led by the NACU's Association President, Susan Goodwin. Susan, would you please stand to be recognized? Thank you. Through the work on our project with NACU, I had the good fortune to meet Dr. Barry Silba, CEO of the American College of Physician Executives. Dr. Silba and I engaged in great dialogue about our associations and the natural relationship between the medical staff professional and physician executive leaders. We discovered a myriad of opportunities for the two organizations to collaborate on providing education to our respective members, especially as it relates to professional credentialing and privileging, which we both agree is paramount to patient safety. As our first project, Dr. Silba and I engaged in a Q&A exercise that we will share with each of our associations in our professional journals. You will see that in the next edition of Synergy. We consider the ACPE to be a vital health industry partner of NAMSS, and we will continue to foster that relationship. I would like to introduce to you Dr. Barry Silba. Would you please stand? Thank you. Another industry partner that we are fortunate to have is the AHLA, the American Health Lawyers Association. I met Mr. Tim Adelman at the National Credentialing Forum earlier this year. Mr. Adelman is chair of the Medical Staff Credentialing and Peer Review Committee for the AHLA. Mr. Adelman gave a great presentation on credentialing and peer review and the increasing potential of these two aspects of our work as a risk area for fraud and abuse. Specifically, the linkage of inadequate credentialing and peer review to fraudulent submissions of claims for reimbursement of healthcare services. Mr. Adelman wrote a compelling article in a recent edition of Synergy that highlighted a recent legal case that supports this theory. The case involved a surgeon who was identified by a hospital employee who ignored her warnings about his lack of competence. Following an investigation by the federal government, the hospital could be facing repayment of claims and civil penalties over $1 million. We'll be watching this development closely as the outcome could create a pendulum swing that could heavily impact the autonomy of our physician peer review process. We will host additional webinars with the AHLA to provide more education on unprecedented events such as this. We have also implemented a pilot program with AHLA that would encourage cross-membership of our two associations. I would like to introduce you to Mr. Tim Adelman. Tim, would you please stand? This past year, we also strengthened our relationship with HFAP, the Healthcare Facilities Accreditation Program. After several excellent meetings with Dr. George Ruther over the past 2 years, we were asked to provide direct input into their medical staff and allied health standards. Jan O'Hare and Melissa Walters worked tirelessly, poring over the standards, and made excellent recommendations, which have now been incorporated into their standards. It is through these types of relationships that provides the recognition of NAMSS for our valuable input into accreditation standards and heightened awareness of the importance of having an educated and experienced MSP providing oversight of the Medical Staff Services Department. Although Dr. Ruther has moved into a new role within HFAP and could not join us for this conference, I would like to give special recognition to Annette Gipp, one of our members from HFAP, for her support and facilitation of connecting the two organizations. Annette, would you please stand? Similar conversations have taken place with CMS, the Federation of State Medical Boards, and various departments within the Department of Health and Human Services, state representatives, as well as senators. Our voice has been heard, but more importantly, the value of our unique vantage point is recognized. My most recent visit to Washington, D.C. and Capitol Hill was at the request of policymakers who are showing an interest in healthcare provider credentialing. As healthcare reform and the Affordable Care Act rolls across the country, I believe NAMSS will be well positioned to respond to proposed changes in legislation related to professional credentialing. So many of you may be pondering, with all of this change, what is the relevance of NAMSS in the MSP in the future? And what will my job look like? First, let me assure you we have such a bright future, but that future is in your hands. Never before have we needed individuals who have the unique talent that you possess. So let's take a look at a few additions to our job description for the future. The MSP will promote collaboration among all caregivers. Evidence indicates that safety and quality thrive in an environment that supports teamwork and respect for other people, regardless of their position. The best patient care begins with a collaborative team of healthcare professionals who are confident and competent, with all decisions and discussions centered on the patient. Our role in influencing and fostering a team of professionals is paramount, but maybe not always recognized by ourselves. Think about the time we spend talking with our physicians during the processing of their application, providing their orientation. You are the one representing the culture of your organization. The stage you set in the first few days can have a huge impact on the culture of your organization and for the medical staff. By helping all physicians understand the organized medical staff and its self-governance, it builds a future leaders and strengthens your entire organization. The MSP will support national patient safety goals in the organization's quality improvement process. There are so many areas that you individually can participate in performing this job function. The OPPE standards have been a challenge, yes, but the goal of the standards should be embraced. Patient safety begins with physicians who continually practice good and safe care and keep those skills finely tuned. These standards have been in place. They have been placed in the medical staff section of the Joint Commission Accreditation Manual. Therefore, responsibility to monitor adherence to these standards lies primarily with the organized medical staff. This is an excellent opportunity for you to help the medical staff leaders and the people who collect data for the organization's quality program to focus on what is relevant. What performance metrics support that a physician is competent in performing his or her clinical privileges? You were involved in the assessment and granting of those privileges initially, so why not engage yourself in the ongoing assessment of that physician's performance? One of the reasons NAMSS has spent time discussing an ideal credentialing solution is to streamline the component of the verification process so that you can spend more time in these areas. So what is the relevance of NAMSS and its association in the future? Well, now more than ever, NAMSS has an opportunity to share with the myriad of organizations, associations, and governmental groups a bird's eye view of what we have learned by doing the work we have done for the past 35 years. We have offered to open and share our vault of intellect and experience. In the game of setting standards and regulatory processes, NAMSS has moved from the spectator stands to the sideline and now to the playing field. We will continue our advocacy work, but to continue to make a presence known and see our impact on patient safety will require hard work and leadership of this association, but we're good at that. We have had a 35-year track record, many visionaries from 35 years ago who are sitting right here in the audience and have responded to the needs of our association, and now we will continue our work to better serve patients and physicians. The board has already embarked on some robust strategic planning to position ourselves over the course of the next few years. Our valuable partnership with the individuals I introduced you here today will continue to grow. As Karen's favorite proverb suggests, we will go far together. We have an important role to play in the bigger picture of our national health care. As I look at our current board and future leadership here before me, I assure you our association is in good hands. So never fear the future. Embrace changes that come your way. And reflect on the words of John Maxwell. If we are growing, we will be out of our comfort zone. Thank you for allowing me to serve as your president and for your confidence. The privilege has been all mine, and I have enjoyed carrying our message across the country, from Dallas to Chicago to Capitol Hill. I had first thought by leading the association, I would be giving back to an association that helped define and build my career. But what I have found is I am once again on the receiving end. You have given me the gift of your trust and respect, and and I thank you from the bottom of my heart.